Alright, welcome to Disclaimers by Ed. It is December 11th, 2017. We have a audio clip that I am currently working on and will be ready. I'll let Ed know when. But until then, Ed, take it away.
Very much. Yeah, we're going to play an audio clip tonight. I've got the video on my Facebook sites. Eventually, we're going to put this video on new.org and trackers. We'll put a disclaimer on this video, but I am very impressed at the way this gentleman handled the police department and a domestic terrorist called CPS. This is the things that I've been working on, educating people for eons. Senator Gary George was doing this, and if you type in on the internet, State Senator Gary George, Oregon Senator Gary George, YouTube videos, it will come up, so this way you do see the truth and reality of what's going on. We tried to sit out there and educate people on this, but the Democratic Party kept on putting out, throwing money at people and saying, you don't need to do this, just sign your rights over to us. So this is what pisses me off, that people don't do this, and I'll get into it later on, because actually I have to give a pat on the back to a gentleman that we've had a conflict of interest for some time. We still have a conflict of interest on some things, but we'll get to that one later, and then I'll pass that even back to him, because let me make it abundantly clear. Canada, New Zealand, your British colonies, we, the United States of America, is not a British colony. We are not the devil Bible people. And I'll say that because we're native. We have treaties. Natives have treaties with the devil people. And that's called the Bible people. We have treaties that give us the right to native law, not your Christianity Bible stuff. I get people all the time that go off on me on that, which I don't have a problem with them going off on me. I'm not bashful to that point. But my point is that the First Amendment gives you the right to have your religious belief. The First Amendment gives me the right to have my religious belief, and I believe in natural law. And natural law is Mother Earth, the Great Spirit, because without Mother and without man, there's no children. There's no life. Without the Great Spirit that created it. Now, God had nothing to do with all this stuff. God comes from a foreign country that were taught through other foreign religions that invaded with their religions to this country. I go by native law. I don't go by foreign law. I don't want to hear about the Bible. I don't care about a book that came from England. I don't care about Israel and the crap with Muslim lies that come, that people go, I'm a Jew. Well, if you're a Jew, go back to Israel. If you want to live that life, don't bring it here. We're supposed to hunt and fish and live off of Mother Nature. We're not supposed to be controlled, rape, rob, and pillage our neighbors for our own personal gain. Technically, we're supposed to help our neighbors. When they're hungry, we grow food. We're supposed to help them. We're not supposed to rape them and steal their land like the public employees do to us today, which I'll be filing on that here pretty soon, too. I got a filing that I will be doing on Kate Brown and others coming up here pretty soon. I'm going to be giving that out. I had some other things I added to it. I added another page to the 1938 Foreign Registration Act, so it's 43 pages now. I had to clarify to make sure that people knew the clarification of the separation of religion, Roman Catholic, any religion, Christianity, Church, King James Bible, from England versus native law and American treaties with the British government. Each state, the 48 states. Remember, the other states are not part of the continental, I can't believe I said that. Strike me, Lord, the Constitution law of the land. 48 states are the only one that's part of the Constitution. And that's where people have to comprehend the real truth of what the 48 states are. We are not a British colony. We are not a democracy of the devil. Democracy says that you shall do what the devil tells you to do, and that's Romans 13. People tell me, and I've had many conversations with religious people on Romans 13. Romans 13 says, thou shalt do what Caesar tells me to do. I pay Caesar, and I shut up, and I have no right. Exactly what it means. This ain't a joke. And if you want to go by your Bible, you have no rights. You're not entitled to have rights. You're not entitled to life. Remember, the British government just passed a common tax called, what did they call that? A carbon tax. So in England, they put the carbon tax on your property tax, so now you got to pay the privilege to breathe air. Literally, if you don't pay the privilege to breathe air, you die. You go to a FEMA camp, you're dead. This ain't a joke. This is real, folks. We are really living reality right now today. In the state of Oregon, they're working on doing the same thing with Governor Kate Brown and the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party in the state of Oregon in 2000 changed the Constitution, says that they own your home, they own they own your children, and you have no rights to life. Yes, the Democratic Party. And you go, I'm a Democrat. I want to leave this life. And I keep going to people, why do you want to lie, cheat, and steal? That's exactly what you're doing. You're lying, cheating, and stealing. Why would you want to do that to yourself? Because, see, if you don't protect your bloodline, that's man and woman has a child. Test tube babies do not have children. Period. Reality of a real truth, a real life, a real fracture. You know, these people go, people go, oh, you shouldn't have an abortion. Well, who the hell gives you the right to tell somebody else how to live? The Constitution protects their rights. And that's what I'm going to be getting into tonight, what this gentleman did. I was so damn impressed with this gentleman. I was so impressed with this gentleman, the way he handled these public servants. And this is the way you need to learn how to handle your public servants. All right? Remember, CPS are devil people. They don't love you. They don't care for you. They'll lie, cheat, and steal, and they'll even have the cops murder you. Remember, the cops murder more people in the United States than anybody else. Cops have murdered more people in the United States than any national disaster. They have murdered more people in this country, more people than any shootings that we had of anything else, including the Las Vegas shooting that was another who knows what. Including, what was that? The Boston bombing that was proven to be fraud. Proven to be fraud. Sandy Hook, proven by the FBI, never happened. Wake up, people, to the reality of the truth. Quit living in your fantasy of some fantasy dream that you have no concept of what the truth is. That is a major deal, that you have to wake up to the truth of reality, not the fantasy you're living. Doctors, attorneys, and all these people, some of them do care, some of them are caught in the middle. I have to be somewhat compassionate to that. But the other side of the coin, I'm not going to sit there and lie to you and sit there and cover these domestic terrorists' responsibilities up. Not going to do it. They don't have a right, number one. Like property taxes. Yes, elected and public employees mandatorily have to pay because they get a paycheck called the de facto note that man created. Man created that. That's the whole point. Man created that. Corporation created that. It's not nothing that just sort of showed up and nothing else that was done. You better believe it. It was created by man. See, that's the one thing our bankers, the Foreign Act in the 1917 Foreign Act, you got to read this stuff. The one gentleman tonight did a pretty fair job on the way he went through something on the Foreign Registration, not the Foreign Registration Act, but he went through a pretty damn good deal on, you can sort of say taxation that I've been preaching to people. There was a couple of points he actually did miss in it, but his presentation was pretty good. And that was the thing that, how many people have known me for some time know that. You know, and the video that went, or the audio we're going to play, and the video's on the website eventually, and it's on my Facebook site. So you want to hear, this man defended his family. He didn't sit there and go, oh, you have a right to feed my child. Hell no, it's your child. Learn responsibility. Be a man, be a woman. Take responsibility for your actions. Did we get it click?
Yeah, it was me. It's ready to go, Ed, if...
Oh, okay, the control is yours. Thank you. I'll back off, and please play this. People, please listen to the way this gentleman happened to handle it. I've dealt with literally hundreds of court cases like this. I have dealt with hundreds of people like this explaining this to people. Very few get it, and the ones who get it do not have the stake in their life. So the floor is back over to you, and then I'll talk afterwards.
Alright, just so everybody knows, this is a clip of a living man. I got just the audio off of it. We do not own this. We do.
Right, son. We are doing this for the man that put the public this to protect him by the system.
Right.
And his family.
We do not own it. We are not making any financial gain at all off of this. This is just purely for education. It'll take a bit. I had to do a little bit of sloppy work on it, but it should be about ready.
Come on, girl. Saying I broke the law.
I didn't say you broke the law.
Can I see your badge?
Your badge is right here. It matches the card.
And I broke the law.
I didn't say you broke the law.
So why the police here?
Again, for the fourth time, the police are here because of the fact I wish you get the camera out of my face.
You're at my door.
I know, but you don't. I would like.
What do you need?
What do you need?
What do you need?
What do you need done?
Do you need to see the baby or not? He needs to see the child. And all you gotta do is verify. He wants to verify.
Verify what?
The child needs to go to the doctor also to be seen. That is what I'm telling you.
What doctor?
If not, his child.
What doctor? See, what hospital? What hospital? What hospital?
Go to Western Way.
Did you ask me my religion? This is disrespectful. Did you ask me my religion? Did you ask me my beliefs? No, you just came to my door, making threats. Do I have a right to practice my religious beliefs? Do I have a right to do that in America? I'm asking you a question. So why are you at my door? You need to see whose baby?
Your baby and this son's baby.
For what reason?
Because of the fact.
Are you a doctor?
I'm not a doctor.
So why do you need to see the baby?
Because I'm the child protective service.
Okay. All right.
It's a part of the job that I do.
For who? Who are you? For who? Who are you doing this job for?
Protective service.
For who?
For who?
For who?
For Wake County. It's on my card.
For who? So I'm a property of Wake County?
Sorry.
No, I'm asking you a question. Am I a property of Wake County?
No.
So who are you doing the service for?
I need to see the child because that's part of my job.
Who are you doing the service for? Am I a property of Wake County?
I don't think you're probably Wake County.
Okay, so if I'm not a property of Wake County, what do you need to see my child for? I am responsible for my child, ain't I?
I still need to see that child.
For what? Oh, you're not a doctor? You're not a doctor? What law is that? Can you cite that law? Can you cite that? You said because of the law.
Right. Because of
They're the law. Can you cite the law?
Child needs to be seen.
Can you?
Child needs to
What
be
law?
seen by a doctor.
What law is that?
Child needs to see my
What law? You're at my door, right?
Right.
You're telling me what I have to do, right?
Well,
Tell me the law.
it's medical neglect. The child hasn't been seen.
What is the law?
Like I said, it's medical emergency based on the fact
What
of
is the
child.
statute? What is the law?
You know.
You're just saying something off the top of
Right.
your head.
Right.
I know I'm right.
So my thing is,
I know I'm right because you know why I'm right? Do you know why I'm right? I don't need to tell you. You're at my door, sir. I didn't come to you.
I know you didn't. I need to
Why
see
am
the
I
child.
right?
I need to see the child.
Actually, why am I right? Because I know the law.
I need to see the child. I need to see the child.
I don't care what you need.
Okay.
I'm not a property of Wake County, am I? Am I property? Am I state property?
Sir, we need to see the child.
You don't need to see anything because you're not a doctor.
Which is why the child.
Which is why what? You want to take me to court and I produce my documentations of what I've done? Do you want to do that? All right then. Then you set those procedures. You present me with some paperwork.
You know.
You come back and present me with some
I need
paperwork.
to see the child. We didn't lay out on the child. The child's fine.
You present me with some paperwork. Come back with a warrant.
Can we see the child?
I spoke my piece, man. You're here talking about I'm breaking the law and all. You knocked on my door. You brought the
Right,
police.
I need to see the child.
You need to see whose child. Is it your child? Is it Wake County child?
And Wake County child.
Or what's the law?
Child.
What's the law?
The child.
No, you're telling me. I want to know what's the law. You don't know when. You don't know.
That's why I want
You don't know
to
anything.
find out. I want to find
You don't.
out what's going on.
I don't want you to find out anything. I'm not. Who are you? Who are you? All right.
Is the child here now?
Did you hear what I said?
I'm asking, is the child here now? Is it with the mom?
Did you hear what I said? I don't have any more questions to answer of yours. We spoke.
Okay.
You seem upset.
No, I just need to see the child.
Okay. She's not here. Anything else?
No, he just left.
Okay. 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 You don't need to see nothing.
What about the paperwork for the child being seen? You said the child was seen.
I don't have to give you anything.
Okay. Like I said, we do need to see the child. You have my information, but I will be back to see the child.
Yeah, you come back with a warrant. Because next time you come back to my door, it's not welcome. I'm not welcoming you here. I didn't call you. I'm not welcoming you here. All right. So what? All right. All right. When I'm breaking the law, the police will come to my door. I don't know who you are. I don't know who you are. I didn't contact you. I don't have no contract with you. I don't. What are you talking about? Okay.
Well, I need to see the child, and then when I come back...
You can keep saying what you say.
It will be with the police again.
Okay. All right.
Okay, we back? Are we back?
Yes, and yes.
Okay, just double checking. Anyhow, this is one thing that I preach on people how to protect their bloodline. It's like we got people out there with other radio shows that keep going and telling you people, oh, Johnston doesn't know what he's talking about. There is no damn thing called a bloodline in the United States. Well, we're giving you notice. We're going to change our Monday night talk show to Saturday night coming up in about 5 or 6 weeks. Want to make sure there's enough notification to the general public. Because since the last year, we've had over 40 people change their talk show to Monday night. Going after our numbers. And we've seen it. We know what's going on. We're not stupid. But, you know, that just shows you that when you're doing things correctly, like this gentleman here did the correct way he did it. Now he needs to file an affidavit on the cops that came, the armed human traffickers that came to his door to rape, rob, and murder his children, his child, his wife, and himself. Exactly what they did. This caseworker that came to his house and threatened his life, literally, threatened his life with 2 armed men. He needs to file criminal charges on this public servant that says this man brought 2 armed men to my door to kill me. And he needs to put it that they came to kill him. Because if he would have let him in their door and would have reacted anything else in his own home with these men that came in the door, they would have shot and killed him on the spot. Oh, I know how police work. Oh, I know how police work. And that's the one thing. Either you're honorable or you're not honorable, and it depends. Most of the police department says, oh, we weren't trained this in training seminars, which they lie. The Supreme Court says they lie. The Supreme Court says that the police department works for the city, county, and state to rape, rob, and pillage us. The Supreme Court basically says that. Their obligation is to collect revenue for their corporation to steal from Americans, including immigrants. Because even immigrants, you have to know your rights, not privileges. And when you pay your system and your property taxes, your income tax, all that, you're paying these men and women immigrants to protect your livelihood, your rights to pass on your bloodline to the 5th generation, so you have rights. And please, please believe me, when people sit there and go to jail trying to say that, you know, we don't know what we're talking about, a man and a woman created blood, right? You bleed, you get cut, you bleed. Let's come to reality here, folks. So in reality, when you have a child, isn't that your bloodline? Say, you know, it doesn't matter if, you know, everybody goes, well, the Indians and all this shit, and I watch people go after the Indians going, well, they have no rights and stuff like that. We're talking, you know, the Supreme Court, the 14th Amendment, and get off your high horses and your fantasy, all you damn immigrants that do all this stuff and mentally screw people around the country. I've watched you guys do this on the internet for 20 damn years through the House and Senate, bringing up this crap and to the people. You're an immigrant. You have no rights. And if you do something in our country, we have the right to ship you out, and you don't have a right to go to court. We ship you out. Kate Brown, the damn devil governor of Oregon, will sit there and go, oh, we need to put this man or woman and give them some protection. The House and Senate of Oregon says, we're going to give them protection so we can rape, rob, and murder you guys for your money. How many senators of Oregon run shelters? How many in the state of Oregon House and Senator members run drug and alcohol treatment programs and have stock and bonds investments in local jails? I know a lot of them. That's how they make their living, rape, robbing, and pillaging. Yeah, I know, trust me, I don't have many friends up there, and I knew that a long time ago. You know, I've been through a lot of things up there. Trust me, they trust me. They know me up in that neck of the woods. But see, I'm fortunate and blessed because we do have elected and public servants who are comprehending and honoring their oath. We do have elected and public servants who were not educated in this stuff that are finally reading this, comprehending, and learning this. So instead of jabbing these men and women, because of course, let me do it, because I have fun doing this. But let me do it, because see, if you start respecting and honoring these men and women, because I mean, I want to get the bills put in so we can get our traveler's card, not a driver's license, a traveler's card. You prove you're lawful in this country, 5 or more generations, we get a traveler's card. So, and if we have to be forced, then that's the one thing I'll be working with them on license plates. I don't have a problem with identification of a plate on the car. I like mine. I have my own plates on my car that when I put them on my car, I was told by the local law enforcement if I travel, they'll shoot me on sight. YouTube videos and stuff like this. It's been a public meeting. Terry Thompson, County Commissioner Doug Hunt, and all these people, oh, they threatened me. I recalled Doug Hunt on the school board when he was part of the embezzlement of $30 million I proved in the recall. I don't know, I think he stole one of the local banks. See, it's knowing where this stuff comes through. Now, see, what pisses these guys off, because the banks are only allowed by the Bankruptcy Act 3.9% interest only. Only. Your interest rates on your credit cards can only be 3.9%. They know it. And the point is, with the Bankruptcy Act, they took away Americans' lawful right to pay in gold and silver or real money. So we're supposed to autograph for food and structure, and that's in House Resolution 192, which I do have filed and recorded through the Utility Commission of Oregon and through the House and Senate, so it's been filed, and so that's on the website. They're slowly catching on. May last year, former Governor Kitzhoffer came out and stated to Kate Brown, how come they're not writing off the debt to the strawman account for the lawful Americans, basically. If you know how words are interpreted in media, you got to read between the lines and comprehend how the media works. We have that structure in place. But it's going to take we the people to make sure it's a reality. And once we start making sure that this is a reality, your children, all right, as Hillary Clinton would say, the village, it takes a village to raise the children. I don't have a problem with the village raising the children so the village are not rape robbing the children like the Clintons have been known to do with their escapades, and a few other elected and public servants are registered and known to do that. My true feeling, if you rape a child, the child is the one that has the authority to dictate what's going to happen to you. If a child says, oh, you are to be castrated, you're to be castrated. You cause that harm to that individual, man or that child, female or male child. They say you should be castrated, you should be castrated. Shall be castrated. See, there's a difference of shall and should in the legal department. And I believe that you shall be castrated if you do something like that. The child that makes that decision. Maybe the child says, maybe you need a bullet in the head. And that starts happening. My God, you can see what's going to happen. People won't do it anymore. Law firms and attorneys won't make so much money anymore. Remember, British Auxiliary Register, the King and Queen of England, that's called the bar. The bar was for American Bar Association was formed in 1887. The British government, because they didn't win the Civil War, so they still needed to do that in the contract that we have. And I've got people that have gone on the internet going, oh God, Justin, you're crazy, you don't know what you're talking about, there's no two constitutions. I put up the structure, there is two constitutions. Of course, you never hear a response back from them. And it's like, prove me wrong. And I challenge people, prove me wrong. We know there's two constitutions, the House and Senate Senate. When I put the structure for the separation of lawful and legal in this country, I served at the House and Senate, and Judge Scalia was assassinated. Because he could prove that Obama was not born in this country. Obama has admitted it many times in public hearings that he was born in Kenya, folks. The United States of 48 states is not part of the world, not part of the Vatican, not part of any religion. We the people are not part of the devil's structure. The Treaty of 1213 and the Magna Carta of 1215. Read the Treaty of 1213 and educate yourself. Quit being stupid. And I don't mean to be stern on that, but it really frustrates me because I've had people who read this stuff and then they want to come back and argue with me, and I start realizing that these men or women are trying to convince me to go along with democracy of the devil. Remember, democracy, every time democracy laid on the soil of any country in the world, they rape, rob, and pillage. It's a historical, real fact of reality of history. So this gentleman had the right way he handled what was going on, the way these public servants did. Now, when I always recommend, and I do have stuff that I file with the House and Senate, I make it public, as I'm doing the 1938 Foreign Registration Act, I had to add another page to it. We've got that done. Now I'm trying to figure out the way I've got to do it. I should have this figured out and shortly. Once I get it figured out, I'll have it publicized. I'll have it to the media. Run on what I do if you believe in it. If you don't believe in it, that's fine. That's up to you. You're an adult. You have to make your responsible decision. I am not an attorney. I'm just the asshole on the street that was hit by a Turner truck, that was drugged by the Turner truck. Instead of being run and drugged by the bumper, I finally got moved up to the passenger seat, so now I can have a clear view of what's coming down the road. So you have to look at the thing, and that's the one movie I do recommend if you have not seen it. It's called Interstate 60. Watch it. Learn your courts. Judges, attorneys lie. They rape, rob, and pillage for money. When they fly that gold fringe flag, and anytime you see a public servant, a cop has that gold fringe flag on their left shoulder, you ask them when they sold their soul over to the devil. And I've done this to them too, and they look at you like, what? What's a gold fringe flag? That's the British flag. That's not American. That's the devil's flag. Don't you know that? And they look at you like, what the hell are you talking about? I said, well, if you don't know it, go look at the gold fringe flag, Executive Order 1038. 100834. Go look at the executive order, and then you make your own decision. But I'm just saying that I have a right to free speech, my knowledge. You see, I'm talking facts. I'm not talking opinion. And that is the one thing that people don't comprehend to accept the reality of what an opinion is. An opinion, hang on just a second here. Clear my lungs good for a minute. Anyhow, an opinion gives you the right to change a diaper. Opinions are diapers. Opinions have no rights. Opinion does not have no responsibility or legal representation or constitutional rights. When people tell you to sit there and do a legal representation, you don't want to do a legal representation. Legal is British Vatican Christian law. Yes, you heard me right with Christians. I say this all the time to Christians. You got to know what a Christian is. And if you don't know what Christianity is, you better do some real research, because Christians, go type in Christian Crusade. You're living it right now today, and you've already been convinced of so many stuff, and you think you're a Christian, you don't even know what the word Christian is. And then you want Sharia law in this country that says you have the right to murder your child and rape your child, and you have the right to kill your woman. We're living this today. This ain't a joke, people. You know, you don't even know what you're talking about. You have no knowledge about what you say and a lot of stuff you do. I watch this all over the internet. Every day I pay attention. It's like property taxes, income tax. When you pay income tax, it violates your Fifth Amendment right. True facts. By the income tax law, remember that IRS agents were led by King George, 1878, when he went back to England, in the 13 colonies. And that's when the colonies decided, oh, we're not going to be British government anymore, and they separated themselves. They actually have instruments and court cases that went back there at the time that did it. That's why I ask people, read the truth. Read the facts. Read real history. History Channel doesn't always tell the history truth because they get paid. Remember, History Channel is owned by the Democratic Party. True story. Democracy Now! Democracy rapes, robs, and pillage. So you have to decide if you want to be lawful or legal. And if you are an immigrant and you want to be lawful, you have to sit there and protect your bloodline down the road, so that way you set it, so that way they're lawful, not legal. Legal is British government administrative rules. Lawful is constitution law. That man and woman has rights. And then once your children become lawful Americans and you set up their property so they can't be taxed, they can't be harassed, they can grow food, collect rainwater. Like the state of Oregon says, oh, you can't collect rainwater, it's a crime, we're going to shoot you for it. And they have done that to people, put them in jail. And I've talked to many men and women that have been put in jail over this crap. But do they want to stand up? No. That's the saddest part, is getting men and women to have the faith to stand up. Not religion faith, faith. To stand up and believe in what they're doing. And that's the same thing with the flag that they fly in that damn courtroom, the Golden Fringe flag. The Golden Fringe flag is the military flag of England. That's the same thing as people don't comprehend, and everybody's going, oh, I have a right to the British flag. I mean, the flag that the South fought, you know. The Union Jack flag, that some would call it. And remember, the Union Jack flag, if you actually do the research on that flag, is the British flag. It's not the Southern War flag. It's the Southern War flag for the British government. That's the point, that people sit there, and even back then, they sat there, were given a flag, and they went to go run on it, and they don't have a concept of the reality of the truth. That's like when you got these foreign countries like Canada, New Zealand, and Africa, Australia. And I watch these guys, and they got this thing coming up January 3rd. Oh, we're going to protest. Oh, that's wonderful. I agree that, you know, it would be nice for everybody not to buy anything on January 3rd. I get disturbed when these foreigners are doing this stuff, because it's like, and then they sit there and tell Americans to stand up. All right, we can stand up. We can stop buying everything on the 3rd. We can do our shopping a week ahead of time and be prepared, not buy a few days before and a few days after. I'm not disagreeing with something like that. But don't sit there and go after us like we're stupid dumbasses. That's what pisses me off, because the thing is that you foreigners have no rights in this country. You have privileges. People will go, Ed, who gives you the right to speak like that? Well, my family apparently has been fighting in the war since George Washington. Native Indian, native people. Remember, native people is not just Indian. It's any other color, black, Chinese, whatever you want to call it. And do not put Chinese American or Black American or African American. Now you're putting a title of nobility. That's actually a federal crime. Either you're an American or you're not. Cut and dry. If you're a bloodline American, you have standing. If you're claiming to be an American and you're not bloodline yet, all right, we comprehend that. you know, but at least be honest with us, and we be honest with you. That is the one thing that people don't comprehend of honesty. They lie to their children. Christmas is coming up. Christmas was never in existence in the United States until basically the British government put it through Macy's department store. Don't believe me? Do real history. People go, oh, well, it goes back to the Viking days and stuff. The Vikings never did the holidays and shit. Indians never did holidays and shit. Africans really never did holidays and all that stuff in history. They had seasons called winter, summer, you know, what is that called? Fall. Those weren't holidays. You went by the seasons. They weren't holidays. Wake up to real facts, real reality. I want to bring this fact to your knowledge too, and I'm posting this up on another outlet. Ku Klux Klan. Everybody goes, oh, Trump's the Ku Klux Klan. You can't deal with Trump because he's a Ku Klux Klan. You know what gets to me is how stupid people are. Ku Klux Klan was founded by the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party, oh yeah. Democracy founded the Ku Klux Klan. And then they want to pass it off that they're the terrorists and all this stuff. Well, that's the Democratic Party. Step out of the movie, watch the protection, and educate yourself. Stop lying to yourself. I get hundreds of people all day long that go after me on the internet and emails and structure, literally. I usually get about, on the average, 1,000 emails a day trying to go after me on different things. And I respond to the majority of them. And then I send them facts, and then I never hear from them. I'm sending them evidence of what they're trying to claim. What they're trying to claim, not what I'm claiming. Like I said in my structure that's on our website. Elected and public employees, the British government, contractors, Foreign Agent Registration Act, all these foreign agencies. They wrote it. We, the lawful bloodline Americans, quote it. We're quoting what they wrote. We don't have to sit there and go out and slander and pick people up and try to, you know, go after or slander people. They wrote it. We're using their words. They wrote the words. So I tell people, grow up. They use the words. Now let's handle them with their own words. Kate Brown personally sat there in 2006 when I was up at the Oregon State House and Senate when they're trying to pass this new school bill that would take your rights to the kids and they could put it in the state. Literally, no joke. I've had Senate bills with my name on it. I've been involved with the Senate and House, so I've educated people on this structure. No bullshit. Kate Brown sat there at her public hearing and told me point blank, well, Ed, you can't talk that way because, you know, the school district is trying to protect you and your children. And I nailed her with a structure that says, why is this truth, what you're saying is the truth, why are you trying to dictate to me, and why is the mayor, Sharon Branstetter, in Lincoln County, after I recalled the Lincoln County School Board, and I proved that Department of Fish and Wildlife lied to the world, took away our fishing quotas through Terry Thompson, the Democratic Party, Ted Ferrari, that didn't speak against it, but supported the rights for your rights. But what the hell is his name? Peter Courtney, Democratic Party, sat there and said you don't have a right to feed yourself, that your child belongs to the state and he can murder your child by DHS coming in your home. It's his bills. I'm going by their bills, their administrative rules they passed. I'm not telling you anything different than what they wrote, what they passed. They wrote the House and Senate bills. And remember, when the Congress writes and the federal government, your states write a Senate and House bill, that's a bill to you to pay for their responsibilities. And their responsibilities are saying, we don't have a responsibility to protect your child. We don't have a responsibility to deal with you. We have a responsibility to rape, rob, and pillage. That's exactly what the responsibility is telling you. We have a responsibility to rape, rob, and pillage. And that goes back to the Piracy Act. Because you have to realize, and if you don't know real history of what pirates are, pirates came into fact of reality when it came to this certain circumstance. Pirates raped, robbed, and pillaged. That was technically called the British and democracy of the Vatican, of the England, and of Spain. Yes, Cape Brown, member of the Spain government. And so when you people call me, and I know who you are, and that's when I'm doing a talk show, you are responsible. You get ignored. I don't appreciate that, and to me that makes me wonder who you are on the other side. But anyhow, when Kate Brown sat there and did a lot of these administrative bills up at the Capitol, and I've gone after these men and women, and I've said this stuff publicly. It's like gay and lesbian circumstances. People say, well, gay and lesbians have rights. Okay, if you want a constitution right and you are gay, and listen to my words, not your fantasy that you're lied to. My words. Right? If you are gay, then why the hell are you bitching to the damn rest of the world that you're stupid? Write a contract between you and your male or female lover. Okay, and if you have to write a contract like the Muslims like to do with goats or whatever, and some people do with animals, put their paw print on it. If they like it, they like it. Protect your ass. Stay the hell out of our lives. We don't want to care about it. We don't want you in the newspapers. We don't want to discuss your fantasy of what you're living. And I said fantasy is the correct point of view. You know, I mean, we know they're white buffaloes, but I haven't seen a real unicorn. I sure haven't seen a fairy, unless it was done by the tooth fairy that put a quarter underneath the pillow for your tooth. I have never seen Santa Claus when he came down the chimney, because I know that the parents put the presents, or somebody else was that, and they did that from the kindness of their heart. Not because they're obligated. People do things from the kindness of their heart. And when people stand up and do things from the kindness of their heart, they should be recognized for that. Does not mean they mean to be public. That means that if you're able to go cook a special meal, go mow their lawn, do something nice for them back in return, it's called common sense, kindness. Most people don't comprehend this fact of life. Like this gentleman sat there tonight that we played his video, and we're not doing copyright infringements on this at all. I'll say that for YouTube deal. You want to come after us, we're going to go to court, and I'm going to own your soul. I will take it to court on that one. This man sat there, was threatened his life. His child was threatened to be kidnapped and held for ransom, called human trafficking. Financial gain for a corporation called CPS, and I've dealt with these son of a dogs. He was held, they were trying to steal his kid and use the excuse for the cops to shoot him. Literally, to have the cops shoot him over his own bloodline. He stated to these men and women, am I a property of the state, the county? Technically, you are not. And I don't know if he registered his papers to be out of it. And if he didn't, at least he had a public servant to me that he was not. He actually has a video evidence to prove he is not a registered servant or slave to that county and state and city. I hope this man comprehends this and files on this. I hope he's that intelligent enough to comprehend what he actually stood up and did. And if he stands up and files his right and claims his bloodline, and I do have a structure that I put out there, own your bloodline. I hope he filed and own his bloodline. If he owns his bloodline, he has rights. If he don't own his bloodline, he has privileges. That's the reality, folks. Get your stool out of your head out of your stool, and wake up to the facts. You know, everybody says, well, North America is part of the United States. No, the hell it's not, and you burn that crap. The United States is 48 states. Southern America and North America is not part of the United States. Read the real history. They're part of the United States Incorporation, but we don't have to accept the corporation. It's knowing your structure of claiming your bloodline. Yes, I know people that have been filing now in the court system. You know, and that's what I tell them. Are you claiming that you were the injured victim? That's called Title 18, 3771, Corpus Delicti. If you do not put corpus delicti in your paperwork, it even says in the federal law of administration of the court proceedings, if you do not put corpus delicti in the case, they can dismiss it. And if you don't do that, you cannot go to the Court of Appeals if they dismiss it. I try to give you guys knowledge, and I want to make sure you get the knowledge to defend your bloodline, yourselves, your law. Your law. Because your law is on your property. My law is on my property. I get a trespasser. It's like I had the gas company last year. The guy comes on my property, walks on my property, walks to my backyard, and I come out the door and I said, "Who the hell are you?" And I'm the gas company. And I walked out with my baseball bat and I said, "I'm about ready to break your legs." And he goes, "Oh, no, you can't do that. I have easement rights." I said, "Oh, you do? Where's your fantasy of easement rights?" He goes, "I have easement rights." I said, "Number one is that I don't have natural gas." He goes, "Uh-huh?" I said, "So I can break your legs legally right now because you don't have an easement on my land." You guys comprehend what I just stated? You have an easement on a public servant, they can come on your land and they can do rape, rob, and murder you. He doesn't have an easement. I called the supervisor and I told him if any of his employees ever come on my land, I'll break their legs personally. And the supervisor goes, "You'll what?" And I said, "Oh, you heard me. I'll break their legs with a baseball bat or shoot them off." He goes, "Don't worry, Mr. Johnston. I'm going to put you in a computer. Well, you'll never see any of this on your land." And I said, "That's right. I know the law." And that is the law. And you guys got to realize that when you have an easement on your land or a right-of-way on your land or a driveway coming through your land, let's say even a Bundy Ranch has right-of-way easements. On the easements of a BLM structure that has an easement to travel through their land to another easement that even in the forest, natural property, public land property, is 3 feet from the edge of the road out on each side. That's it. Anything outside of that, there's no law that protects them. Learn the law. Statutes and codes of the British government, their Bible, and the Christianity of their Bible, take it back to England. We don't want you. There's a video out there, watch. Natives, we didn't invite you to our country. You came and raped, robbed, and pillaged we, the natives. You weren't ever invited. The British government came to this country. They put a flag up. They killed the natives, the Indians. They murdered us for their financial gain. Then they're rape, robbing, and still today cutting our trees down, sending it to Japan so they can sink it in the bay because they want to sell it back to us at 20% of the 20 times the price of the timber. And not only that, the timber that they're sinking in Japan Bay now is being riddled with sea worms eating it up. It's already been proven. But we know that people are stupid in the country, so they'll buy anything. They don't research anything. They don't sit there and go look for themselves or riot themselves. Somebody says, "Oh, it's good." A contractor say it's good. They'll build it and it falls down. Then they go to the insurance company. The insurance company says, "We don't have to cover you. We just went through that. Look at California burning with fires." Oh, the immigration. Remember back when Ronald Reagan was president. Mexico told Ronald Reagan. Told Ronald Reagan. You guys don't know real history. I'll tell you that right now. Told Reagan and the administration back then, if you pass this thing that, because Ronald Reagan passed a deal that says only 1 million immigrants were allowed in this country. They would get passage. They would get citizenship in this country. And the rest of you go to jail. Mexico actually told the Congress back then, if you don't allow an open border, we're going to burn you out, California. They told Ronald Reagan this back then. Remember, Ronald Reagan was the governor of California before president. Jerry Brown don't give a shit about you. I knew Jerry Brown back in the 70s. I worked two of his campaigns. Christopher Gale and all that crap with Pelosi and Feinstein. I grew up with these people. Even though I was a child back then, or a young adult, whatever you want to call me, I listened. I stayed in the back corner. I listened to these people. I paid attention what the hell they were talking about. That's the problem. Most kids today, 10, 12, they don't listen. They're programmed in the computer. They're so damn dumb. And it's the parents' fault. The parents make sure they're dumb. The parents make sure they bury their head and say, oh, that way they can't be responsible. If they don't know anything, they can't be responsible. So when they get taken out or put in a FEMA camp, they don't know anything, so that's where they end up in the structure to make a living for the corporation. Perfect example is in 1993 when they put the jail in Lincoln County. We never had a jail in Lincoln County until 1993. I sat there at the county commissioner meetings prior, 1990, 1, 2, and 3. They put this jail in, they're going to rape, rob, and pillage the people, democracy, and this was all in public record back then. First time I ever run for office around here, the Democrats attacked me like hell. People didn't want to listen because they're already brainwashed. I didn't realize how stupid people in Lincoln County are. We got the worst education system in the state of Oregon. Literally, we do. I know. I recalled the school board. It proved they embezzled $30 million with an estimate of a guesstimate. Remember, like the public employees use a guesstimate. That's what I used, a guesstimate of $160 million that they embezzled. I did file for my 10% retainer, and they freaked out on that, and they tried to kill me over that, too. And when the recall did happen, I was entitled to my 10% retainer of $30 million. I filed a $35 million deal against Workman's Comp and the state of Workman's Comp, because Workman's Comp really didn't exist until 1991 in the state of Oregon. And I'll do a talk show on Workman's Comp coming up with the facts and that structure, how it ties back into the pirate days and the structure of 1914 Workman's Comp law. That's going to be another show coming up. I really want to get into that for folks. But right now we're dealing with this gentleman that sat there and told the people, these public servants, they didn't have a right. So this is what I'm saying. When I put these bills out and I send you and you guys want to use my information, I don't have a problem using my information or what some would call a template. But remember, you yourself are personally liable, not me. I don't claim to your liability. Okay? I just put the knowledge out there. I do the research so that way you have evidence to fight yourself. You have to know what you're standing on. Okay? I don't have a problem standing up. I have people that have asked me, Ed, would you come to court and defend me? Would you be my basic attorney in court? No, I won't do that. I get people that call me from jail. I'm not going to do that. You didn't do that ahead of time. I've talked to people ahead of time when they were going through things, and then they go, oh, you know, they end up in jail, and they call me and go, no, I told you that was going to happen. Was I right? So why are you calling me now? You didn't want to listen, so don't sit there and try to do something after the fact. You expect me to have compassion? You know, you better go to a stupid fool to have compassion. I do have compassion on certain circumstances. But when you should have protected yourself ahead of time, you informed that ahead of time and then you want to play stupid? I do have an issue with stupidity. Because I'm notoriously known since I was a young man that stupidity will always prevail. Literally, stupidity does prevail each and every time. There is no forgiveness. And the one thing too that, like, I'll be putting this stuff out, like I said, I got things filed. You want to file when you have a conflict of interest of these men and women. You want to file on their insurance bonds. They will tell you they have no insurance bonds and stuff like this. Yes, they do. They have to have it for business. They lie. Remember, they lie. The Supreme Court makes it abundantly clear that public servants can lie. Now, this Fred Pig Nanelli on YouTube has this bullshit crap going around. Okay, let me say this name again. And type it in on YouTube. I put it up, and I want to make sure you guys comprehend this crap. It's called Re-Empower the States Amendment. Published September 27, 2017. Frank Paganelli is a Democrat, and he goes on democracy. He's putting this through so the religious organizations can own the goddamn country. And so you have no constitutional rights to your child whatsoever. You have no constitutional right to your land. So that way elected and public officials can murder you for your land. Exactly what he means. I've sat there and tried to talk to him. I try to get information to his people. And all they do is block you, because if you're not going along and selling your soul to Christianity and their bullshit, they don't want to talk to you, because you're not going along of democracy to destroy the United States. Do real history sometime in your life. Real history, democracy has destroyed everything in reality of the world. Literally has done, destroyed everything in the world, reality. So you don't want democracy, and the Constitution Amendment says that we're entitled to a republic. So a republic means that you come on my land and you rape my wife and my children, and I put a bullet in your head, justice served. That's republic. See, we're not supposed to go through a foreign British court system to defend ourselves. I don't have a problem with that in certain circumstances. Alright, but when you sat there and somebody nails you on your property, you have a right to defend your children, you have a right to defend your woman. You know, don't sit there and state this. I mean, here's another point. A lawmaker, I love this, Representative Lauren Shane. Okay, Colorado, goes on her plane and she forgets she's got a loaded handgun in her purse. Are you going to tell me that we have a state representative is that damn stupid that they know the law says you cannot do that? She's a representative, state representative, and she actually notified the airport and filed the actual proper paperwork as a public servant. She could have went on that plane with her handgun in her purse. You know, it's knowing how to file your paperwork and knowing where the hell that you're standing in. This is the point that most people do not live in reality. And this is the point that we have to stop this crap and start educating our children. So we educate ourselves, like this gentleman, and that's the main point that I'm hitting this deal with this gentleman. And YouTube, we are not violating anything by publishing that thing. He put it on YouTube, somebody put it on YouTube. He's defending his bloodline, his children, and you want to go after that and slam us for protecting your bloodline, your own children, your own future? Bill Gates don't give a shit about your child. He already admitted he'd kill the children. That's right, Bill Gates. We know the truth. You already gave the Africans immunizations, and look what happened to them. Stand your ground. Know the truth. That is the main point here. Stand your ground. Know the truth. We don't sit there and protect the country. And that means file on your public servants the 1938 Foreign Registration Act. I don't care if you use what I wrote. I don't give a damn what I wrote. I care about that you know that it exists. I care that you file the existence structure for yourself. If you don't file it, you have no rights. That's the point. You have no rights if you don't file. And that's the main thing that people do not comprehend. You have to file your rights. You have to own you. You have to own your child. If you don't own your child, you have no rights. It's that simple. It is truly that simple. You'll get people that will tell you this, that, and the other thing of the corporation system all the time. But do you know that you have a right? Or do you know you have a privilege? Know the separation of lawful and legal. Lawful is Constitution. Legal is the statute, code, and administration, or what they call in the, your state structure of bills that the House and Senate passes. And if you don't know that, type in bills and how bills work and how they're presented in Congress. We are still working, putting the public education side up for children on our site. We literally are still working on that. Because we want to do a self-education site, and I'm still trying to figure out how to still come up with funding to keep it going, because I'm disabled. It costs me a lot of money, and so sometimes I have months where, because they've gone after me, it's hard for me to survive, because I'm used to going in the forest and getting my food. But they're trying to starve me out. But, you know, hey, shit, what happens? You know, when it comes down to it, you know, I'm one of those stupid men that I've been shot, stabbed, I've had my neck broken protecting people. People say, oh, you're doing that in the right way of God and all this shit. God don't reward you for that shit. What fantasy are people talking about? I do it because of my kindness of my heart, because if there was a God, I would have been taken care of. I would have things. I wouldn't be living the way I'm living. I do get kindness along the way, which I'm grateful for. I recently had that on a couple of projects on my property, but in reality, it doesn't work that way unless somebody has the kindness of the heart. And it's not Christianity, because Christians don't have kindness of their heart. I've never met a Christian that actually did it for their heart. I've met men and women who did it from their heart that did it, and so when they do things, you have to respect and honor them back. Even if that means you have to cook them dinner for a month. You know, stepping out of the production and watching a movie and taking care of people around you. Now, this is the one thing that this gentleman, when he sat there and protected his bloodline, remember, it's his bloodline. He sat there and did this. And so, you know, I mean, you know, one of these guys, you know, they're going off on this deal on some of the structure with this guy going, well, they should call and get a warrant and come back and take his kid. This is what shows me on the internet how stupid men and women are. In other words, who was the one who called CPS on him? Who's the one who reported on him? Who's the neighbor in his building that did it? Who's the man and woman that he said, I have a religious right, and he could have a religious belief. What he mentioned his religious belief. He has the right to a religious belief. Okay? Did he harm his child? Maybe not. We don't know that. We didn't see photographic evidence. The state reporter wants to come in and terrorize him. Steal his children with the police department. Police rape, rob, and steal. Type in Police Piracy Act. Piracy video of police. They even show you that in certain states right now, the police are running around with a debit machine in their hand. They're swiping your credit card. Your credit card when you get pulled over to pay the fine so you don't go to court. That's extortion, racketeering, and fraud. That is actually a federal crime. That is against humanity and man and woman. But most people are so damn stupid. Yeah, I'll call you stupid. Because when you sit there and agree to this shit, you're stupid. Educate yourself. Be smart. When you go bear hunting, you gotta be smarter than the bear. And if you're not smarter than the bear, that's why the bear eats you. Which I don't have a problem with that with certain people, because the bear has the right to eat people who are stupid. A judge will tell you when you go into court, if you don't know the law, it's not my job to protect you. Remember, you don't have to be an attorney to represent yourself in court. That's law, too. But if you know the law, the judge has to protect you. And if the judge starts acting as an attorney for the bench, that's actually a federal crime, too. That is under Title 17. Now, I bring these things up because I don't mind posting this stuff up and educating and reading stuff, but I want you to start reading this stuff yourself so you know how to defend yourself like this gentleman did with that statement. I plan on having my producer play that at the end of the show so that way you comprehend. It is on video on our website and on my YouTube channel. Watch the video, and watch the way the police officers react what this man is saying behind this public servant's back. Watch their expressions when the man is talking. The body language says it all by the cops, because if the man was not telling the truth, they would have shot him or raided his home and stole his kids. But their body language behind this CPS worker that is trying to steal his child for his personal. Remember, if a CPS worker adopts a child out, that's why these men and women do this stuff, even Oregon. I've proven this too. They get $7,500 for each child they adopt out. That is by Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton's child bill in 1997. Read it, learn it. Title 4. They put these things in for funding. When you go to the doctor, and they can sit there and put that you're bulimic or bipolar. I love it how people sit there and agree to attention deficit disorder. And I keep going, morons. Everybody has attention deficit disorder. How do I know that? You're sitting there on your computer or watching TV and noise happens outside your door, outside in your yard. You got attention deficit disorder because you change your attention to what's going on outside and you're wondering what's going on. Does that explain how simple it is? Really that simple. Attention deficit disorder. You know, you're at a dinner table and people fart. Well, you got attention deficit disorder because you're paying attention to the fart. You're not paying attention to the conversation or the food on the table. That's attention deficit disorder. You know, I wanted you guys to look this up. This is Professor James Duane. And he's got a wonderful video out, and I hope this gentleman actually watched the video. It says, Don't Talk to Cops Part 1. He's got 2 parts, and he's got a series. He's done all this, too. And he's from Regent University School. And he walks through this structure and tells you that if you agree with a cop, you agree with him, you give your rights over. Never talk to a cop. I've made that mistake a few times when they come to my door and it's like, I have a right to chew these bastards out, and I did that. And I cost myself a few $1 million by doing that a couple times. I wanted to shoot them, but I knew I couldn't shoot them. But they did that so that way they could throw a couple of my cases away. And that's what I'm trying to explain to you people. Pay attention to this. This man has a good lawsuit. He can sit there and file on these idiots so long as he keeps his mouth shut and files it. They can't screw with him. But it's learning when you file a lawsuit, when anybody, I don't give a shit if your mommy and daddy comes up and tries to talk to you about it, you say no way. You don't know if your mom and daddy's going to set you up. And I'll tell you right now, I wouldn't trust mommy and daddy. You know, because you don't know their intentions. People sell their soul for a very cheap price. They do. And you know that yourself. You've probably been there. On a job or something in your time of life. You know, or going along with something and all of a sudden it's like, what? Why? How? So it's stepping out of the movie and watch the production. And I preach that all the time. Because when you watch a movie, they put some subliminal messages in the background of a movie and film. They do that. It's deliberate. That way they can make funding. It's all about funding money. Deficit notes. Remember, your deficit note, that's the one thing, the government note is a deficit note. It's called the Federal Reserve note. Federal Reserve is the British government that went bankrupt to we the people March 9th, 1933. They say they bankrupted the world the same day and did all this. No, they bankrupt because they owed us. So they went in debt. So these senators and congressmen said, okay, but all those senators and congressmen got a hell of a payday. Did you? Did your bloodline? Did your children? Did your grandchildren? Did you get land? We were supposed to get land. We're supposed to have rights to raise ourselves. And it's not going out and get huge lands like the city we live in today. We got cities we can live in. We want to keep our forests so that way we go out and get deer and elk and salmon and get food. We have a right to food. And so if we have to stack ourselves on each other so we have food, so that way we're not paying the privilege to life that they're trying to do right now. In England, you have to pay the privilege to life. They passed the carbon tax. So you have to pay to breathe air. If you don't pay to the point of breathing air, you die. That's a reality. It's not a joke. You exhale carbon. That's real. So anyhow, I've been going on for an hour and a half, basically. Or no, almost an hour and a half. I'd like to open the floor for any comments, and then we'll play this structure again at the end of the show tonight, so you can hear, because if you don't start defending your bloodline and comprehending how this man sat there and saved his child, this man saved his relationship, this man saved his woman. That's what a man is supposed to do. That's what men are supposed to do. You don't think the grass is greener on the other side. You made a decision to have that bloodline. You're supposed to protect the bloodline.
Q&A session has started.
Alright, Q&A session. Hit *61 to get into the queue. And I will go through the list. Up, already one person's already there. Alright, Ed, start getting your answers ready.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Ed. Today, I had the school turn around and...
Go a little closer to the... I can't hear you.
Today, I had the school inform me that my daughter was unenrolled from a virtual academy. The reason was because she did not get her meningitis shot. Now I've called them back and said, okay, now I filed an affidavit, which now I've received it today, and it has a bond numbers on them.
Okay.
But then now I've asked to enroll my daughter back in school, and they're telling me I can't do it until next year, which is ridiculous because she didn't cause any harm to anybody. There's nobody that was going to be harmed from her anyway.
Mm-hmm. All right, so the other thing is that you're going to charge the school district for private education for. You want to put an affidavit in. You want them to prove that you broke a federal law. And the FDA, you know the FDA came out and said immunizations kill kids.
Yes.
All right, so you serve them with the FDA paperwork on that. And you serve them and say, seeing that you are denying my child education, now you're served because now you have admitted liability to pay the education of my child to any private school that she shall decide to go to. Do you get where I'm coming from?
Yes.
If she decides to go to school that's charging $5,000 a month, and their allotment is only $13,000 a year to $17,000 is maximum through most mainly. And she decides to go to a private school at $5,000 a year, and you serve that to them, and then you file that in court immediately. Don't wait for a response. When you write that up, you file that in court immediately. As you do that, you'll have that school come back and say, we apologize, because they're not going to pay $5,000 a month for the next 8 months on that child. They're going to lose the revenue, and then that way when you win that case, every other parent's going to go the same way. Does that make sense?
Oh, of course, it does. Like I said, to me, it makes no sense why they even tried doing this in the first place. I guess they're just trying to take advantage of people. And like I said, noticing that the affidavits that I received, because I filed for an exemption, because they said that I had to do that, noticing that it had a bond number on both of them, it seems like that's what it was. It was just about so they can get more money.
You got it. That is the truth. That is a real truth on that. So because of the truth on that, now you come back with them that the FDA, so people comprehend this, the FDA actually came out publicly and stated that immunization shots poison the children. They admitted to it. So seeing that we have proof by the FDA, now we can start filing on the school boards and school districts. I don't have a problem giving a public servant time to think about things. Okay, but when you have to file on your child's education, they already thought about it when they came back and said, oh, you don't have a right. So because of that right they're claiming, you file on them immediately when you send that deal that they're liable to pay their education. And then the other point I forgot to bring up to you on that one, when you do that, and if she ever does have the immunization shots, that the school board members personally are liable for any damage it caused for her throughout her life.
At any point in time?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That means if they die and their children get their inheritance don't go to their children, it goes to you and your child. Because they forced you in. You got it. You got it. See, once we start doing this to these public servants and waking up how the law works, not statute codes of administrative rule of the British government or the fear and tyranny that they do through their Bible of Christianity or Roman Catholic Church, and I argue with people about Bibles on it. You know, and I do respect men and women because we've had many conversations about lawful and legal, and we've had many conversations about the Bible. And I've argued with several men and women on the Bible. I don't have a problem with the Bible. I have a problem when you're sitting there saying that you have to go by the Bible, and Bible gives me rights. Now, it gives me rights over privileges. It does not give you rights over privileges. The Constitution gives you rights. So if you cause personal harm to my bloodline or my child, the board members, the men and women who are involved in that harm, are personally liable. You cannot use a corporation to hide behind and say the corporation is liable because the corporation is a dead entity. You can't sue a dead man. You can't sit there and sue a dead woman. You can't kick a dead man or woman and expect they're going to feel it. They don't feel it when they're dead. Wouldn't that be a fair assumption?
Yes, Ed.
Okay, so yes, file on them and say that they're liable on her education, and seeing that they're doing this, you agree with their terminology, you are looking for a private school, and you are setting them up to send the bill, and you'll send it to the Secretary of State to put their position in that they're liable because by the state law, you're going to love this one, by state law, the state is responsible for education and funding, and that is actually every state law in the Union. Literally, that's every state law in the Union is liable. They wrote it, I quote it. What can I say?
Oh, I really appreciate your help on that one.
Yeah, and when you get something, if I could throw something into that at the time, I don't have a problem doing that. But I want, you know, I mean, I don't know your circumstances and certain things. That's why I tell people, I don't have a problem throwing an idea in. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a lawyer. I was hit by the turnip truck and drugged for miles, and apparently I got put to the passenger seat, so I'm not being beat up anymore. So I'll take the outing because I like living. And so there are, when it comes to these issues and circumstances, we have an out to these things. It's like they put the pipeline in, and the pipeline has been leaking, and I've been telling the natives, you guys are so damn stupid. How come you're not suing the board members? You go after their homes, their assets, their children. Your responsibility to prove it and go after them. When they prove this stuff, you go after them, they're liable. Isn't that what happens if you do something to somebody, you get sued and you're liable?
Yes, Ed.
Right, so, you know, but that's a wonderful way putting it together to them, and you're going to find out they're going to go, wait a minute, you want us to pay for education? Well, isn't that with state law? And, yeah, and you write them back. Is this state law? Prove me wrong. And I want you to put it in writing what the state law says on education. Every state says completely in their funding, and this is where I was working on in Oregon a couple years ago until I got, they had me running around the state for 3.5 years trying to take me out. Because I was writing up the structure so that way men and women can homeschool their children. Either the woman would be paid or the man would be paid to homeschool their children at home, or if somebody in the community, and you know, you had 4 or 5 people or 6 people that were willing to take the responsibility of another man or woman in the community to educate their children and give authority to that man or woman to educate them, they got paid the funding from the school district, because by school district administrative rules, they have to pay an educator.
Ed, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead.
You keep saying it's a state law. Is it an actual law or is it an ordinance code and administrative rule?
No, well, actually, it's administrative rule, but it is a law because when they take the funding for schools, it comes. Yeah, you're right. It comes under administrative rules, but it's similar to the law. Now, it's not a constitutional law because education was never a constitution. Thank you for the correction. It is administratively, and that's how they get the funding. So you're proving under administrative rules that they're liable to pay the education, and that's what it says. And thank you for the correction. And so, and you could even type in your state. You type in education funding and liability, and it should come up under that education and liability. I know it does in Oregon. I don't know. It should come up in your state, that your point of that, because when you put your kid in the school district, that's where the unions get the funding, and that is collected through local property taxes, what they claim, and administrative fees of every education, because when you register at a private school or a college university, there's a percentage of registration fees that goes into public education on that. People don't know that. So does that give you some idea?
Yes, it does, Ed. In fact, I'm already trying to look it up.
Okay. And if I run across something through my expeditions that I'm doing right now, but right now I got to finish the. My goal is tomorrow, after I revamp some of the stuff on the 1938. My goal, and I have to work with a gentleman tomorrow on making sure I got some of this corrected. My goal is tomorrow and by the next day to make sure I have this filed and registered on a minimum of 50 public servants. My goal is 137 public servants to file this FAIR Act on. 137 employees I'm actually working to file this on them. No joke. I don't have compassion for these men and women. They destroyed my family. They didn't care about me. You know? So I just want to show them the same love they showed me. I think it's only fair. As their Bible says, do unto others as you want others to do unto you. So I just want to share the love with them.
Ed?
I think that's a Christian thing to do.
Ed.
And people know the way I feel about Christianity and the Bible. Including my ex, man. She used to get pissed off at me. Both of my exes used to get pissed off at me about that. And I said, well, you know, if we don't sit there and stand for ourselves and do this, that, and the other thing, and we're asking for permission and pleading for forgiveness, how does that give us the right to the children? That's like these cancer centers, you know, St. Jude and all this stuff. You know, if they cured the cancer problem through hemp and a few other medicinal use medications that are actually in the forest, eucalyptus leaves and a few other things, they would lose billions to trillions of dollars because we wouldn't have the problem, and all these jobs wouldn't have been created. And the House and Senate knows this stuff. Your public employees know this. It's like I was told by a congressman more than once, by several senators, congressmen, well, Ed, everybody wants a job. They don't want to live free. If they lived free, they wouldn't know how to handle their life. And I was actually told this by these people. You know, so that's why we create the jobs and we create the circumstances. They create this stuff. This stuff is deliberately created. This is not an accident. And that's where people have got to comprehend this fact. Really comprehend the fact of the truth of what's going on. So once we start doing this, and like when I start serving my paperwork here in the next 24 hours, because I'm going to serve it. I've been supposed to serve this, and basically, I would say the last 4 months. The other indictment, I was supposed to get on Cape Brown because they had this structure going on with Cape Brown, this recall with this other group, which I knew some of the people in the group. They only did it trying to make name recognition so that way they could run for office and make a political stand so that way they could line their pockets. And I personally know some of the men and women involved in it. I actually worked on recalls with them, involved in other recalls, and all they did it for was money. They didn't give a shit what was going on. It was all about putting their name out, and that's why when they did this, I put out a letter on Facebook in the public structure and put it in, and sent it to newspapers. I questioned how much some of these men and women were making on the recall on Cape Brown with the last recall. You know, how much are they making on it? Question of finances. Because when I did my recall, and it's still going on, I got to find the paperwork seeing that it was knocked off of my Recall Cape Brown Facebook site. I got to go retrieve it and find it and get it back up there. But when I did my recall on Cape Brown, I did it lawfully, so that way if a legal immigrant signed it, they had rights. And if a lawful American signed it, they had rights. So she was screwed. She was gone. Because Cape Brown is a British subject. She is not an American. She's from Spain. And that's the point when you get to know, when you file on your public servants. I've got men and women, especially in Southern California, filing on public employees down in San Jose, Santa Cruz, and that type of area, asking if they're lawful or legal. And people are freaking out over that, going, you can't ask that. I have a right to protect myself. You're running for public office. You have no rights. Literally. You have no rights running for public office. Been there, done it. I put my name out there. People have a right to attack me, which they heavily attacked me when I ran for office in Lincoln County in the state of Oregon. Elected public servants, county commissioners, senators, and governors attacked me. So, been through it. So, anyhow, I don't mean to ramble off on that direction. Anybody else got another comment or something they want to throw in, or do you want to add something else in there? Okay, I guess not. So, anyhow, then I guess if we're at that point this evening, I will say, may the Great Spirit bless you, may Mother Earth take care of you, and may the Great Creator look over you. And with that one, I would like to let everybody know that I got a guy trying to call me right now on Facebook. I always love it when I'm doing talk shows. People do this all the time. The thing is that I would like to say good night to all. We're going to play this ending. And I want you to comprehend where you bring up these points, and like the other gentleman brought up with schooling. You can bring this up to the school district when they're doing this. They are liable to pay the education. You do not have to sign your rights over to them, and if you don't agree with them, you file the criminal charges on the principal, the school board themselves. Trust me, I'll help you on that one. I've recalled school boards. I've proven facts on school boards. So I would have no problem helping you out on that one. But I'd like to get that done in a few days because I got a lot of projects coming up, because the Senate session is coming up in Oregon starting January 7th is the bell ringing this year at the Capitol. And my fantasy is to raise funding so I can be up at the Capitol. I want to be able to get a room up there for about a couple of weeks, a hotel room or somehow. And I got to raise transportation because I'm not going to be shot driving up there or traveling up there, because they're going after me because I want to get the traveling bill. I want to make sure the food bill passes. And so I can bring in the evidence, because they trust me. These men and women know me up there. And if we don't protect our food resources and rights, we have no structure. So, anyhow, with that, I'll end, and I appreciate your comment. And when you send me some information, I'll throw some information back to you. And so that way you can do that. We have some research to do on your state administrative rules on that circumstance to put it so that way there's not a conflict of interest. Would that be fair to say? I think you have the floor open, don't you?
It's in Q&A, but David should still be there.
Okay, well, if he's not responding, we'll deal with that later. He knows how to contact me. So why don't we end with that, the wording again. This is a video that was put on YouTube. This is not a copyright violation. This is a man who's been assaulted and threatened by his state elected and public servants. He admitted and asked the question if he was property of the county. The public servant said he's not, so it's not a violation of YouTube administrative rules. So, and I'll file this with YouTube. You gotta sit there and comprehend this stuff. And so we need your support on these issues, and you need your support on these issues. So anyhow, with that we'll end, and then I'm calling you tonight once the thing is done, and we'll go from there, and I appreciate it, and may the Great Spirit bless you.
Thank you all for listening. It's the disclaimers by Edward Johnston. This audio clip I'll play, and then I'll shut everything down. Today is December 11th, 2017. So, have a good night.
To my door saying I broke a law.
I didn't say you broke a law.
Can I see your badge?
Your badge is right here. It matches the car.
And I broke a law.
I didn't say you broke a law.
So why the police here?
Again, for the fourth time, the police are here because of the fact I wish you get the camera out of my face.
You're at my door.
I know, but you don't. I would like.
What do you need?
What do you need?
What do you need done? Do you need to see the baby or not?
See the baby.
Okay. He needs to see the child.
I need to see the child.
All you gotta do is verify. He wants to verify.
Verify what?
The child needs to go to the doctor also to be seen. That is what I'm telling you.
What doctor?
If not, his child.
What doctor?
What
hospital? What hospital? What hospital?
Go to Western Wake.
Did you ask me my religion? This is disrespectful. Did you ask me my religion? Did you ask me my beliefs? No, you just came to my door making threats. Do I have a right to practice my religious beliefs? Do I have a right to do that in America? I'm asking you a question. So why are you at my door? You need to see whose baby?
Your baby and Miss Stone's baby.
For what reason?
Because of the fact.
Are you a doctor?
I'm not a doctor.
So why do you need to see the baby?
Because I'm with Child Protective Services.
Okay. All right.
It's a part of the job that I do.
For who? Who are you? For who? Who are you doing this job for?
Child Protective Services.
For who?
For who?
For who?
For Wake County. It's on my card.
For who? So I'm a property of Wake County?
Sorry.
No, I'm asking you a question. Am I a property of Wake County?
No.
So who are you doing the service for?
I need to see the child because that's part of my job.
Who are you doing the service for? Am I a property of Wake County?
I'll think you're probably Wake County.
Okay, so if I'm not a property of Wake County, what do you need to see my child for? I am responsible for my child, ain't I?
I still need to see that child.
For what? Oh, you're not a doctor? You're not a doctor? What law is that? Can you cite that law?
You know.
Can you cite that? You said because of the law.
Right. Because of
They're the law.
child.
Can you cite the law?
Child needs to be seen.
Can you? What law? What law is that?
The child needs to be seen by a
What law? You're at my door, right?
Right.
You're telling me what I have to do, right?
Well,
Tell me the law.
it's medical neglect. The child is missing.
What is the law?
Like I said, it's medical emergency based on the fact
What
of
is the
child.
statute? What is the law?
You know.
You're just saying something off the top of your head.
Right.
I know I'm right.
So my thing is,
I know I'm right because you know why I'm right? Do you know why I'm right? I don't need to tell you. You're at my door, sir. I didn't come to you.
I know you didn't. I need to
Why
see
am
the
I
child.
right?
I need to see the child.
Actually, why am I right? Because I know the law.
I need to see the child. I need to see the child.
I don't care what you need.
Okay.
I'm not a property of Wake County, am I? Am I property? Am I state property?
Sir, we need to see the child.
You don't need to see anything.
Q&A queue is cleared.
Which is why what? You want to take me to court and I produce my documentations of what I've done? Do you want to do that? All right, then. Then you set those procedures. You present me with some paperwork.
You know,
You come back and present me with some paperwork.
I need to see the child. Lay eyes on the child, so the child's fine.
You present me with some paperwork. Come back with a warrant.
We see the child.
I spoke my piece, man. Yeah, talking about I'm breaking the law and all. Yeah, you knocked on my door. You brought the police.
I need to see the child.
You need to see whose child? Is it your child? Is it Wake County child?
No, Wake County child.
Or what's the law?
Child.
What's the law?
I'm telling you, the child.
No, you're telling me. I want to know what's the law. You don't know when. You don't know.
That's why I want
You don't know
to
anything.
find out. I want to find
You don't.
out what's going on.
I don't want you to find out anything. I'm not. Who are you? Who are you? All right.
Is the child here now?
Did you hear what I said?
I'm asking the child here now. Is with the mom.
Did you hear what I said? I don't have any more questions to answer of yours. We spoke.
Okay.
You seem upset.
No, I just need to see the child.
Okay. She's not here. Anything else?
No, he just like.
Okay. 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 You don't need to see nothing.
What about the paperwork for the child being seen? You said the child was seen.
I don't have to give you anything.
Okay. Like I said, we do need to see the child. You have my information, but I will be back to see the child.
Yeah, you come back with a warrant. Because next time you come back to my door, it's not welcome. I'm not welcoming you here. I didn't call you. I'm not welcoming you here. All right. So what? All right. All right. When I'm breaking the law, the police will come to my door. I don't know who you are. I don't know who you are. I didn't contact you. I don't have no contract with you. I don't. What are you talking about? Okay.
Well, I need to see the child, and then when I come back,
You can keep saying what you say.
It will be with the police. Again.
Okay. All right.
Conclude the show. Thank you very much, and have a good night. And as this living man pointed out, if they don't own you, they don't have any power over you.